Hey there, we're the Literacy Ladies, and we are passionate about helping teachers and families to help grow and develop enthusiastic readers in their classrooms and in their homes. So today we're excited to share with you some ways that you can help increase your child's vocabulary specifically. Research indicates that vocabulary is one of the biggest predictors of student success. So that means their success in the classroom, but also on standardized tests such as the SAT or even in endeavors beyond the classroom someday. So we want to make sure that we are setting students up for success by intentionally teaching them vocabulary words that will help increase their vocabulary. Today we're going to show you 5 ways that you can help increase your child's vocabulary today.
Okay, so before we dive into those 5 things, let's talk about the phrase Tier 2 vocabulary, because that's what we're going to focus on when we're teaching kids new words. So Tier 1 words are those simple words that kids see in text all the time. Those are the words that kids are going to be able to figure out on their own. Tier 3 words are those much more specific words that maybe only relate to the book that they're reading. They may not even see those ever again. So those are really specific words. And so Tier 2 words are those in-between words. So those are the ones that are a little bit more complex than Tier 1, but they're going to be more powerful when you teach kids because they might see them in other books that they read and in different contexts. So let's take a look at an example from a real book.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I just grabbed the book A Long Walk to Water. I love to read this book with students by Linda Sue Park, and great middle-aged book. And then when I skimmed through it today looking for a Tier 2 word, I pulled out the word recalled. So it seems simple maybe to us, but our kids might know the word remember, but not the word recalled. So just pulling out some of those words and teaching them what they mean before reading a book together can be really impactful. So
let's get started.
All right, so number 1, we want you to be able to introduce new words to your kids that you use in everyday life or that come up naturally in everyday life. So I was reading a book with my son the other night, and he asked me why the bear in the story was just waking up and what a long winter's nap meant. So I took that opportunity to explain to him what the word hibernation means. And now he likes to ask if all the animals hibernate all the time, but he's using the word in context, and those are great opportunities. We just don't want to let them pass us up that we can use in our everyday conversation to teach them new words. Another thing that you can do to be a little more intentional would be to put note cards around your house to label common household items, but not by what the item is called, but by a vocabulary word that might describe that item.
I love that.
So maybe next to your oven you have a little note card that says the word sweltering, and then you're telling your child and teaching them about how sweltering means hot and the oven is hot. And so having those words around your home is a great way to expose them to a lot of new vocabulary kind of naturally and in a fun way. Another thing you can do with an older child might be to use one of the Word of the Day apps to introduce them to new vocabulary often. 2 that we like are one that it's called actually the Word of the Day app, or there's another one called Ready for SAT, and there's a vocabulary section within that app. So those are fun things that you can do, to look at new words each day, and they're both free.
Awesome. Okay, number 2, you're going to plan ahead to teach new vocabulary words before you read a book with your child. And this can be done right before you read a story. Grab the book that you're reading, flip through, find a good Tier 2 vocabulary word to teach, be intentional about showing your child and teaching your child what that word means, and then they can really understand it in the context of the story that they're reading. This can also be done with older kids really easily with chapter books. Flip through the chapter that they're reading, or maybe the one they're about to read, find a great Tier 2 vocabulary word and be intentional about teaching it. It's a great strategy.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, number 3 would be to use some kind of interesting words notebook with your child to keep track of the new vocabulary words that you're using. So we've created a vocabulary dictionary where children can keep track of the new words at a lower age level, and we have one for secondary level. But you could also use just something as simple as a spiral notebook from the dollar store to keep track of new words that you are learning together, and maybe a definition of what they mean as well.
Awesome. Okay, number 4, you're going to check out books together with your child that are known for interesting words or new vocabulary. I just grabbed 2 examples from our house today. Cookies by Amy Rosenthal. This is one of my daughter's favorite books. It is all about new words. Every page has a different new interesting word on it and the definition, and uses a great context. It's really an awesome book to use for introducing new words. Also, the Fancy Nancy books by Jane O'Connor. These are awesome books for introducing new vocabulary words and really fancy words too. So you can also ask a local librarian too if you're not sure where to start. They can point you in the right direction. Also, if you're not sure where to start, poetry books are filled with interesting words and new vocabulary. So that might be a good strategy for older kids.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, number 5 is to be intentional about using vocabulary in conversation and play. So an example might be you're waiting in line at the grocery store with your child, and afterwards you say, thank you for waiting patiently and politely. And now you've just exposed them to 2 vocabulary words, patiently and politely, and they'll get to hear them in context. So doing that often can be really meaningful. You can also do word games with your family, play word games like Scrabble, Boggle, Scattergories. Those are great ways to use vocabulary and have fun together. And a lot of them have junior versions that you could use with younger kids as well.
Okay, love that. Let's recap. I'm going to try to remember all 5. Okay, number 1, focus on words that are new to your child in everyday life. Number 2, plan ahead and introduce new vocabulary words when reading books with your child. Number 3, keep an interesting words notebook to fill with new vocabulary and interesting words that you're learning together. Number 4, check out books together that have interesting words in them. Number 5, be intentional about using vocabulary in conversation and play.
Yep. We really hope that one or all 5 of those can be things that you can implement with your family easily tomorrow. And we're excited about the impact that you'll see as your child's vocabulary starts to increase. Happy reading!